welcome back to the Board Game Closet. My name's Jimmy, and today we're going to be taking a look at Kingsburg. Kingsburg is put out by Fantasy Flight Games, plays 2 to 5 people in roughly 90 minutes. The theme behind Kingsburg is that this great city is under attack, and the king has designated you to take care of one of these outlying provinces or realms, whatever they're called, and build it up so that when the enemies attack, you're ready for them. Kingsburg plays out over a series of rounds. I think it's like 5 years maybe, plays out, and then at the end of those rounds, whoever has the most victory points is the winner. So let's take a look and see what you get in the box. Okay, so this is what you get in Kingsburg. First, you get this gorgeous board. It's huge. It's about the size of those typical square boxes. Fills the box up, unfolds nicely, and I really like this board. I like it a lot. It's got a track that goes around the outside edge for you to keep track of victory points. And then the heart of the board is just all of these areas where you can go to meet these nobles, officials, whoever they are, and this is where you influence them at. So, you also get some dice, some color-coordinated dice. You get these dice here. You get 3 little circle wooden tokens. One is a point track token, one is a turn order token, and one is a soldier army strength tracker token. So you get 5 of these. This game plays up to 5 people, so each person gets those. And then you also get these little tokens, cardboard tokens that are going to sit on top of your tableau here, your little building chart, and then you place these on top of your building chart to let you know which buildings you've paid for and built. Now you get this little chart here that tells you buildings that you can build, and this is the heart of the game. This is what you're trying to do. So you're trying to build these buildings that give you victory points, and they give you special abilities. So each one of these buildings will do something different. It could say things like give you extra military strength, or it could say it costs you less resources to build certain things, or it could just simply give you victory points. And so each one of these buildings are built in a track. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks that you can build, and you have to build left to right. So you have to build the first one, second one, in order on up to the end. And so a lot of times the buildings that are on the left actually help you as you go forward, or they escalate in the ability that they give you. So how do you build these things? You have to get resources. And how do you get resources? You influence the nobles. And the way that you influence the nobles takes place over production seasons. So Kingsburg is played out over 5 years, and each year has 7, 8 specific things that happen in the year. And I don't want to go through all of the specific rules on what happened in each one of these sections of the year, but basically think of it as spring, summer, and fall, and then things happen around those or in between those seasons. So the main mechanic of the game happens in spring, summer, and fall. During each one of those seasons, your players are going to roll their dice. So let's say that we've got the yellow, blue, and red players. Each one of them are going to roll their dice, and then you add up what they've got. So here the yellow player has 11, the blue player has 14, and the red player has 12. 12, 11, and 14. So yellow has the least amount, so yellow's going to go first. Then we've got, who's next here? 14, 12. Then we've got red, and then finally blue. Now this is a pretty close race here. So even though that they're really close, the person who rolls the least gets to go first. The person who rolled the most gets to go last. And that's kind of like they have the most buying ability, so they're going to go last. They have the least buying ability, so let's give them a chance to go first. So on your turn, if you're the first player, you get to choose how you're going to spend your dice. So this person has options of they could do all 11, so they actually find 11 on the board, place their dice there, and now this space has been taken, and so no one else can go here in the space unless later on you have the king's favor, and that's later on, and that's a small rule. But for now, let's just understand that if this person chooses 11, that space is taken. So if later on the next player wanted to take 11, too bad, it's already taken. But let's say 11 goes there, but then let's say red doesn't want to do 12, but they want to do 10. So they go here, then blue player comes along and they say, man, I wanted to do 11, but you already took it, so instead I'm going to go 9. And so all of our players have gone, and then it cycles back around. Yellow used all their dice, so they can't go. So then red would get to choose. Red can only go to 2, so they go there. And then blue can only go to 5, so he goes there. If at some point, let's say that blue had a 2 also, but red went there, and 2's already taken, sorry, blue, you just can't go anywhere. So you could actually use that as a strategy in the game. If you see somebody's only got 1 die left, you could take the spot that they could go in and be a punk for their turn, but that's how you play the game. So once you place your dice in an area, you're going to get the resources associated with that. And so I don't want to go through all of these, but basically you're going to get wood, stone, gold, soldiers. You could get a little token here that allows you to add 2 to a die roll. There's places here where you can pick your resources instead of getting ones that you're given. There's places here where you can exchange this one for that one, and there's also spaces that give you either or. And then there are also spaces that increase your army strength. And I'll talk about that in a second, but there's spaces on here like 5 and 10, or 5 or 10. I think it's only places, or 18. You're able to increase your military strength. And that's important because at the end of a year, you're going to be facing an enemy. And so each year, the enemy gets progressively harder to fight, and on the front of the card, it'll tell you what the range of this army is. And so at the end of the year, you're going to go to battle and fight the enemy that's coming. If you have less military strength than the enemy does, then you lose and there's a penalty. If you have more, then you get a victory. So you defeated them and you have the spoils of war. If you tie them, you're not hurt or helped. So you just don't get anything. And that's okay too, I guess. But you take turns doing production season. So in the spring, you'll roll, get all your resources, and then you're able to build 1 building. So you'll look on your tableau and see what you have the resources to build, and you could build something. If you don't have enough, or if you'd like to save your resources, you can do that. And then in a later round, you're able to build a building. There's some things that happen in between the rounds, things like if you have the most buildings and you get a victory point, or if you have the least buildings and you get an extra die to roll. And then finally in the last season, right at the end there, you have the ability to exchange 2 resources for a military strength to beef this up. So that's all that you can do in the game. So you're taking time trying to figure out what track you want to build up. You're trying to keep track of your military strength because you know the enemy's coming, and ultimately it's all about victory points. So there are victory points that you get from building things, there's victory points that you can earn on the board, and then you play that through 5 times. At the end of 5 years, whoever has the most points wins. That's a very simple explanation of Kingsburg, but I hope it gives you an idea of the mechanics that are used and what it's all about. So what do I think about Kingsburg? I like it. I like it a lot. It's simple. It's easy to teach. It's got enough diversity on the board where you can choose which track you're going to take to victory. So I like that. So if you don't get the rolls that you want, maybe you have to change your strategy, and maybe instead of doing all this church cathedral stuff on the top that's heavy victory, maybe you go the other route, and maybe you do this route, and then that gives you really high military strength. There's all kinds of ways to victory, and I just like this a lot. I have the expansion of this game to Forge a Realm, and I highly recommend getting that as well because it adds in. So now you've got your tableau grows, so you have more ways to victory, and then they even include like single strips. Where are those at? So like a bunch of these single strips that you can lay on top of the game, and so now you could have a track that you could follow that nobody else has on their game. So that's really cool. A rabbit trail a little bit there, but I like this game. I like rolling the dice. I like being able to put them out on the board, and I like blocking people. I like saving up my resources to build a building later on. I like, you know, you're behind somebody, but then you get to build the cathedral, and all of a sudden you jump up 9 victory points and you take the lead. I don't know. I just like it a whole lot. There's so much about this game that I like, and mainly it's because it really is easy to play. It's easy to teach. Some people might critique the game for that. They say it's too simple, and that might be a critique for you. But sometimes forgive me for this, but sometimes I just want to play a game, and I'm not looking for over-the-top, complicated, get the manual out and try to figure out the points and strategy, and I just want to play a simple game. And this is a great popcorn and Coke game where you sit back and you eat your popcorn and play the game and roll your dice and laugh with your friends. I just really like this game. At the end of our reviews, we like to give a 1-die rating if we think you should buy it, play it, or hate it. So buy it means go get this game, add it to your collection. Play it means maybe you wouldn't buy it, but you definitely play it if it was on the table. And then red means don't buy it and don't play it because you hate it. Obviously, at this point, I think you can tell this is a green for me. This rates as one of my top games. I'm not a Tom Vassell guy. I don't do the top 100 games. But for me, I really like this game. It's very similar to another game that I have, Alien Frontiers, which I think we've got a review out on that as well. It's in the same world as that, rolling dice, collecting resources, building up things. So I really like this game, and I highly recommend it. Go get this game and add it to your collection. Thanks for watching the Board Game Closet. Make sure you subscribe and share our videos. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, on the interwebs. We're out there, boardgamecloset.com. And as Rod always says, support your local hobby shop.